So knowing how to discern in that way is important. In fact, the reason I'm doing this interview is for that. I want people to know it's okay to talk about this and to stop being afraid of the stigma of you're crazy. Because the truth is that those of us who had these types of experiences that talk about it more in the indigenous cultures would be the spiritual leaders. So, and we're all those, is the thing. All of us are. We're all coming into that realization together and realizing that the mental illness stigma that's been placed on all of this, there are people who are off in reality, yes, that get lost in it. And yet, this is more normal than people want to admit.
When you shared the story of your abduction experience to your parents, what did they say?
They thought I had a good imagination. They just were like, oh, that's good imagination. And when I would tell them about them coming through the wall, so my mom has a memory of this. She still talks about how I used to say that everything came out of the wall and that I couldn't say my L's. So I'd say, Mom, it's coming out of the wall. It's coming out of the wall. And so she remembers things like that, but it's a different perspective because from her mind, especially now because she's a counselor, it's just attachment stuff. It was trauma that I was working through, which some of this stuff is traumatic. So there's truth in that. That's why I would call her, I would say her, Mom, was because there was a sense of communication and community with them. In fact, I've never said this before either, but I remember feeling like it didn't, my parents weren't actually my parents, that this was my real family. So when they would come and bring me back to the house, I'd wonder why my mom was leaving. So I'd often feel like I was being left behind here.
I mean, there's some suggestion that there's been deals done with certain races of aliens or ETs or other human, other cosmic cultures already. So are we suggesting that there's maybe some kind of alliance with certain groups on Earth so that the Earth becomes offensive against other, maybe friendly?
I hear about all kinds of deals that may have been made with the off-planet cultures. I have yet to see a treaty or any kind of a real agreement that proves to me it's been taken, but I have been visited and I have been told that, and so I'm coming from my own reality and people that I've talked to also on other high levels with credentials, that
Can you explore, can you explain more about your meetings and the other meetings you're talking about?
Yes.
Details?
I was actually visited just before the Disclosure Project by an extraterrestrial being. There was another man in the room with me, and there were several other extraterrestrial beings. The one that came forward had an hour-and-a-half long conversation with me and said that it is vitally important for the world to know that none of them are hostile. They are in control in the universes. Yes, they did some experimenting with people. They haven't.
You said universes there.
Universes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's how it was said to me too, including by Werner von Braun, who said that this ban on space-based weapons that we need will also help us find out, of course, release information so that we begin to know who we really are on this planet and in the universes. That language was always used to me, and again, it was by these beings that came in. And we hear people say multiverse now. There's a lot of language for it. So for sure, there are universes out there, many galaxies, many planets, and many cultures. And for sure, many of us have been visited on this planet, and in fact, some people have been going off the planet to have experiences. But what's important to know now is that those harsh experiments have been ended. And that's been confirmed to me by Barbara Lamb, other people who have worked with hundreds of people who have been abducted or had experiences on the planet. We called them visits and meetings, at least that's how the ETs called them when they visited me. So now the game is the stage at which we are, and this treaty represents this. And the treaty, by the way, is listed on the openminds.tv.com website and also on Facebook, Cosmic Treaty, or Treaties, I'm not sure which, but you can find it, and also on Ban Space-Based Weapons. There's some students from Indiana University who put that up on Facebook. So people can get copies of the treaty. This treaty now focuses on the messages that have been given to many high-level people. In fact, this treaty was drafted by astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, sixth man on the moon, who studies consciousness, and through the Institute of Noetic Sciences that he studied or founded, and also through his own studies. Dr. Scott Jones, who is now working for peace, has his own websites and many international projects. And he used to work in Intel. He worked for Senator Pell. He's been in military-industrial complex like the other authors, including myself. Commander Will Miller, who was the military advisor to Dr. Stephen Greer in the Disclosure Project, Leslie Kane, and a number of other people too. And Abe Krieger, who used to be an executive with Boeing, now retired and worked on Strategic Defense Initiative contracts. And a lot of us have had jobs and positions excuse me, in the military-industrial complex, in the revolving door game. And now Scott Jones was just telling me he's been visited since he was 2, but of course he never went public with that. And I'm going public with it at this conference. Haven't gone into much detail, but I've come forward with the messages that I've been given. And how can we trust them? Because it's been given to many other people, and guess what? We're still here. So it's a big duh to me. The fact is now we have a very important mission. The humans who are tapped by this, who can evolve enough to get out of that fear, ego mode and the base mode that says, oh, we need weapons because what if some of them are dangerous or coming to get us?